Oh boy, this really is a fast setup. So let's see how you can make this. Hello and welcome to my new Autocrafter video. So in my last video I showed you this design behind me, but honestly that is way too slow. So I figured, what can we do to get that faster? So let's head into it and have a look what we can do. For simple things like an iron farm compactor to get only iron blocks, we could use something as easy as this. We can just drop our iron like here, and the hopper minecart will distribute it through 3 hoppers, and by that we have a pretty good filling up speed for the crafter. And then we get a signal and power the barrel as well as the crafter, and by that we get iron blocks. And that is all nice and okay, and the speed is pretty good. But is there more we can do? Can we make it faster? And what about recipes like the dispenser? Can we get that faster? Yes, we can. Let me show you this. So what we have over here is a dispenser crafter that works at 8 Gameticks. That is pretty fast. So it runs basically on this observer clock. We have our crafter sitting here in the middle, and it gets filled by droppers. So let me show how this works. There we go. That is a nice crafting speed. So our dispensers roll in pretty fast. And even though it makes a little bit of noise with the pistons over here, let me turn that off real quick. We still have a pretty fast building speed, though in this time I got 41 dispensers crafted already. The downside with this design is I didn't really have the input for all the hoppers to make them, all the droppers supported by hoppers. So we can just fill one dropper, completely fill with items. We can do, however, for the redstone, that is quick enough. The cobblestone droppers would need 2 hoppers to fit the speed we are working with over here. And this double chest over here is our bow supply. So the bow supply is obviously the bottleneck, since those are non-stackable items. With the amount of cobblestone you have here, if they are completely filled, we could support up until 10 double chests of bows. So, but that would look also really bad, right? So what about we make a little crafter over up top here to craft us some bows. So this would look like this. This is pretty much the same design on the bottom. We use slabs over here to get the redstone signal only up, not down. Since we are working with 4 droppers over here, we are slightly faster producing bows than we can produce dispensers. If we would use only 2, we would be slightly slower. So I opted out for 4 droppers and crafting a little bit more, and then use this comparator to turn off the whole thing that crafts bows. We have enough in this barrel. So this crafter only crafts so much up as you need. With this setup, the dispensers, the droppers all completely filled, like this. We can actually craft 4.5 stacks of dispensers. And I'd say that's a pretty neat thing to have so much dispensers crafted in such a short period of time. You can see the bows dropping right away, and every time there are 4 bows in this, it will stop, but it kicks right back into gear when there are bows used down here. And by that we can craft that fast our dispensers. At this point in time I want to thank Genui250 for his 8 Gametick design, which heavily inspired me for this design. Thank you for that pretty cool design. It was amazing and I had a blast figuring out how all of this works. So how does this work? Let us check that out. let's say we have a dropper set up like this. So all the 4 droppers face into the crafter block. And with this redstone line, we actually power every one of those. So I filled these droppers with wool corresponding to the color that is next to it. And once I give a quick pulse into this, all droppers will fire and put their item into the crafter block. Like this. White, red, yellow and green. So this order I have now, this order here is the same order as here. White, red, yellow, green. So if I now take out all of these blocks, try it again, we have the same order. So by that we can actually figure out in which order our droppers will feed into the crafter, and it works always the same. So that gives us a big opportunity to force some crafting recipes. So at this point we know how to feed 4 different items into the crafter, but for the recipe we actually need 9 items, and the input isn't always the same. So how do we achieve that? To achieve that, I added these 2 pistons firing alternative. So one time this fires, so basically both fire, but they replace the redstone block by spitting it out to its one pulsing. So if this gets a signal, this piston will retract this redstone block to over here, and this piston will spit out his redstone block to over here. By that we alternate between this dropper and this dropper. So as you can see, we have here cobblestone and here redstone. Those 2 feed into this bottom dropper. And that is the whole magic into this. We just use this dropper as spot that can change the block it can put out. So one time it puts in a cobblestone and the next time it will drop in redstone dust. And now we can achieve that we put in the right recipe for the dispenser. A quick side note, the order in which the dropper fill into the crafter is directly connected to from where you power those. So I used this from the white block to get the order from white, red, yellow, green. But if we now use this input over here from yellow, we get another different output. So now first we had white, red, yellow, green, and now we get yellow, red, white, green. So keep in mind that you can change the outcome of the inputted blocks by changing the direction from where the signal comes. And if you are now thinking, Mega, please make a tutorial for this, this time I will actually do one. And I do it in this video. So not only a showcase, I will show you how you can build this really fast dispenser crafter. A fair warning, before you build this, droppers are directional and also sometimes locational. What that means is that depending on the direction they face and where they are placed, the outcome can be different. So I show you a setup loaded, but that might be different for you. But to help you, the facing way I'm now facing. So when I hook onto this, that the crafter is looking the way I'm looking. I build this every time the same. So I will build this in the tutorial as well. When I look onto this, I'm facing westwards. So east of the crafter block is our observer clock. Try to do that as well. That might help very much put in the items in the right place. Especially for the bowcraft up top, I had various different outcomes depending on where I built this. So make sure you test the droppers that they are putting it into the right position of the crafter block. For the version without an extra autocrafter for the bows, these are the materials you need. these rail and the dirt blocks are the temporary blocks. You don't actually need a complete stack, but just a bunch of. And the rest I will show you a little bit. You can stop the video if you want to. And for the version with the bow crafting automated, these are the materials you need. Once again, the dirt are for the temporary blocks, not really a stack needed, and the rail is also temporary to place down the hopper minecart for the collection system. Okay, we start with the crafter and the dropper setup. So first of all, we need one block, and we can put our first dropper facing upwards like this onto that block, and our crafter also facing upwards like this. Then you can go ahead and place temporary blocks on each of the side of the crafter like this in a cross shape, 2 in each side. That is because we can now already remove these blocks and place the other droppers also facing into the crafter block like this. Then you can get rid of all of the temporary blocks. So we then go ahead and place a node block, one block away from the block over there, and an observer facing into the node block, so it reads out what is happening to the node block. Then we place full block over here, and you can silence the node block by placing a slab over here. Next, you can place a full block onto the slab to connect it over here, and a slab onto the full block over there. Then we go 2 up here and 2 over here. So 2 blocks here, 1 up, and then 2 over. Grab your sticky pistons and place them next to the 2 blocks you just placed there. And then place the redstone block over here and 1 block over there. So they are diagonal to each other. Now we need our next 2 droppers. For that I use some temporary blocks here to make the dropper face into the bottom dropper, and blocks over here to make this dropper face into the dropper in the middle. You can get rid of this block, and this can actually stay. You can connect this block. Oh, we don't need that as well. And this line gets some redstone dust on top. So when this block extends, it powers this line, powers into this block, by that powering this dropper. And since we are already placing our redstone dust, we can also go ahead and add onto the crafter a line down here and right around here. And don't forget this block. This redstone dust will power this block, and by that activating the node block, so we can get our signal properly onto this dropper down here. Let's add our observer clock by placing a piston down here and an observer facing this way, so the face looks onto the contraption. And then we add a temporary block here to place the observer like this. You can add a little stone block here with a lever to activate it, or you could just power it like this. Whatever fits your needs. Next, we can add our output chest like this, and an hopper facing down into it. To get our items from the crafter block into this output, we use a rail and a hopper minecart over here. We place a chain down on this block and push the minecart onto the chain. Then we can get rid of the rail and notch the minecart a little bit over like this. It doesn't have to be perfect, just a little bit over the crafter and over the hopper. By that, the hopper minecart will catch the crafted dispensers. It will end up here and it will get sucked out by the hopper and put into this chest. By doing it this way, we actually can double use this side of the crafter block by powering it with redstone dust on top, and also get the items put out on this side and put them over here onto the output chest. Now we have each side connected of the crafter block. Now we can add a hopper onto this dropper over here and one onto this hopper. This will be our redstone input for redstone dust, and this will be the input for our bows. The building part of this is now already done. Now we only have to stock it. So in this dropper, connected with this double chest over here, we put our bows. We fill in just a little bit more here, just as much as you got. And then redstone goes into this dropper down here that also has this chest connected to it. And all the other droppers except the one right down below the crafter. So this one, this one, this one, and finally this one will get cobblestone. The last step to prime our crafter for the building process is actually switching the position of the redstone blocks. By that we power this dropper over here, and we should end up with one cobblestone down here. So this one extended, this one retracted, and one cobblestone down below. Now if we turn it on, it works like a charm. "20 dispensers in that time frame. I'd say that's pretty good. If you don't want to use the double chest over here and use the crafter on top, you can place a stone block over here and a slab over. And then we can use more temporary blocks like this. Get rid of those. Place a second hopper and a barrel on top. And use slabs to form a little bit of a platform like this. So now we have 2 by 2 with one additional to the barrel and a setup like this with slabs going down here. Now let's get our second crafter in place. For that I use a temporary block once again to place the crafter against this block. That way it faces into this barrel like this. And then we want to use temporary blocks once again like this to put in the droppers that face into the crafter block. Can get rid of the temporary blocks after that, and I actually need to place one more here like that. So we want the other sides of the crafter block surrounded by droppers facing into the dropper. When you are done with that, you can place a comparator reading the output from the barrel and a repeater facing into the droppers and connect it all with redstone dust. Don't worry about the redstone connecting to the downside. Redstone signals won't travel down from slabs. So if you get a signal here, it won't reach down here. Don't worry about that. Oh yeah, and I forgot to place redstone dust all over the place. So by that we make sure it always powers everything. And that's it. Oh, that's not it. We have to set up the crafter like this, so it actually can make the bow recipe. Now we only have to fill up the droppers over here with sticks over here, sticks over here, and string in this one and this one. I would recommend to fill up this chest a little bit more until you get a signal over here, and test if you actually get sticks and strings in the right order to fill up the recipe from the crafter block. When you are done with your build, it doesn't matter when you stop the contraption, even though if it's half loaded, you can still just kick it back into gear and it will start back again crafting. And since we are in the latest snapshot, we now have the tick command. So let me prove to you that it is actually 8 game ticks by using tick freeze. So now our contraption is standing still. And we can now use tick step by 1 game tick. I will copy this. Now we get the first crafting, and now it is down to nothing is into the setup loaded, and the next tick we will get our first signal. So we are now at tick 0 since nothing is loaded. So 1 tick further we have nothing. 1 tick further we get our first pulse from the observer clock that fills 4 cobblestone and a bow. Next tip is the 3rd, nothing happens. The 4th, nothing happens. The 5th, nothing happens. 6th, we get our next things loaded up. 7th game tick, the dispenser, the crafter block actually ejects his crafted dispenser. It is now in this hopper minecart, and with the 8 game tick we reset everything, so the circle can begin anew. So let's quickly unfreeze again and see it working once again. I hope you enjoyed this video and the tutorial, and I hope this inspires you to make even faster crafter setups than we built before. I can't wait to see your designs, and until next time, bye bye!